Howdy friends, it's me, it's Michael B. Thank you so much for checking out the video, and in today's video, we're talking about why home arcade, Arcade1Up, AtGames, and all the other home arcade manufacturers may increase their prices on their products in 2025. And you're probably wondering, why the heck is Donald Trump on the thumbnail? Well, I'll tell you why right after this. So that's right guys, in today's video we're talking about why home arcade prices may increase in 2025. I know that's probably the last thing you want to hear, especially after we've had such a blah year in terms of new home arcade releases, and some of the ones that came out already seemed a little expensive, but it's a very real possibility. But before we get into telling you why, I want to say thank you so much everybody for checking out the video. Guys, I always appreciate the support. If this is your first time to the channel, you like what you see, go ahead, subscribe, click the bell for notifications, all that YouTube jazz. So I want to take you guys back in time now to the year 2017, 2018. Arcade1Up was about to hit the market for the first time and really start off this whole crazy fad or trend about the home arcade product. And the cool thing was they were coming out at such an affordable price, $2.99 US, one everybody could digest. Well, fast forward to 2024 and we're in a very different place, as Arcade1Up hasn't really been releasing new products for the last little while, and when they have, they seemingly come across to the community like they're slightly overpriced. There's been a huge jump from that $2.99 initial offering all the way up now to where these cabs cost as much as $750 to $800. A huge change. But we're on the precipice of home arcade prices possibly raising again. So unless you've been living under a rock, you obviously know that the US election is over now and Donald Trump was declared the winner. Hey, I made a video the other day talking about Justin Trudeau. I've got to play fair here and talk about Donald Trump as well, right? Anyways, I don't have any real political, thoughts on what happens in the US. That's your business. I'm Canadian. We got our own problems to deal with, so I don't really pick one side or another, and this isn't a political conversation. But there is one thing I want to bring up about Donald Trump and his updated plans for when he takes office. And one of those things is increasing trade tariffs. Now, I'm not going to fight to say whether or not the tariffs are a good or a bad thing. I don't really have any other opinions other than the fact of, obviously, I live in Canada, and trade tariffs, especially with our economy, where we are an exporting country, is going to make it harder for us to make money. But the good thing about it is it pushes for countries to take care of themselves, to increase the number of jobs that are available in America, and the whole Made in America thing, it forces that. And that's possibly what's going to happen when these tariffs are imposed. Now, I know there's other factors as well. They're talking about illegal drugs coming in and stuff like that. I'm not really paying much attention to that. But the people that Trump is mainly threatening the tariffs with right now are Canada, Mexico, and China. Now, you're probably saying, what does this have to do with home arcade? Well, a lot, actually. Well, that's right. You may question how Arcade1Up can make these recreations and sell them for the price they did and are now doing when real commercial-grade arcades cost so much. Well, a big part of that is these are manufactured in China. All the parts, all the pieces, 100% made in China. And it's not just Arcade1Up. All our favorite home arcade companies basically use the same model. They come up with a design, and then everything is produced in China and then shipped back over to the US. So if an imposed tariff on Chinese goods does go into effect, that means it's going to cost more money for companies like AtGames, Arcade1Up, and any other home arcade maker to actually get those goods from China. That is just with the American tariffs, and then there could be counter tariffs put in place through some kind of trade war or however it works. I'm not an economist. That will actually further increase these costs for these companies in the US relying on Chinese goods in order to make their products and make their products affordable enough that they can actually profit from them. Now, if you think I'm blowing smoke up your ass, let me give you a direct example. We went and met with the people from Wonderland Amusements at the Pinball Expo, and they are currently making what's considered to be a home pin or 3/4 scale size physical pinball machine. Now, obviously, a 3/4 scale physical pinball machine isn't going to make a huge price difference between that of a full-size mechanical pinball machine or physical pinball machine. It's not the difference in size that makes it so less expensive. It's the fact that unlike big US pinball machine manufacturers like Stern, who make everything in America, these guys are going a different route. They are actually going to take the Wonderland Amusements pinball. They're going to take all the components, all the parts that are normally made in the US and much pricier, manufacture them and the machines in China, and that's how they're going to meet their low price. An example would be, in fact, Stern Pinball's version of a home pin. It's still normal size, but enough things are downgraded that they can actually sell it for a lower price for home consumption instead of being used at commercial factories. You take a look at how much their home pin is going to cost. That is $6,000 compared to a 3/4 scale pinball machine coming from Wonderland Amusements that they think they can get in your homes for under $1,000. It's not the difference of it's going to be smaller. It's not the difference of it's not going to have all the cool features. The big difference, like I just said, is that they're going to outsource all the parts and manufacturing to China, which is now in the process of becoming more expensive. So obviously, at this point, it's going to cost companies more because of the tariffs to actually make their products over in China, or if they make them here in America, there's a different cost associated. Made in America, they've got to be able to get the parts, all the stuff coming in. It is typically more expensive, and that's why people outsource. So, like I said, it's going to be more expensive for the companies. What does this have to do with us, the consumer, and why do you think prices are going to increase? Well, I'm not an economist by any means, but I can tell you that companies usually don't like to take it on the chin when their cost of making these products increase, and that cost is usually passed on to the consumer. It's a little bit of the problem with the trade tariffs. Eventually, it will force either these other countries to, negotiate fairly or whatever's involved there, or it will do what it's kind of intended to do. It will build up American, made in America again. But the short-term costs, tariffs are like a double-edged sword, because while they're going to make the country a ton of money, while they're going to, help move these ideas forward, the actual expense and, the damage from it doesn't really get passed on to the company so much as it does the consumer. Because now, in order for us to pick up these products that we love, now we're going to have to pay more to do it because the cost gets pushed onto us. And what's even more concerning about these upcoming price increases is messages like this from AtGames, where they already indicated that it's going to be harder and harder for them to offer discounts and deals going forward because of the reality of the new economy and the costs they're dealing with. So already, under current factors, they were already cutting out some of their deals based on this post by PK back October 18th. That's a long time ago now. And he wasn't trying to create FOMO. He was just telling you we weren't going to be able to offer the same discounts in the future, and the prices may increase. Here we are going into a new year with new complications or variables, if you will, which further cements we can possibly expect to see home arcade prices rise yet again. So say, for example, that, the companies just say, you know what, whatever, we're just going to do it here ourselves. We're going to do it made in America. We're going to make our own machines right here. Of course, there will be additional costs because the wages are much higher, cost of materials are a little bit higher, but it's a way to combat the tariffs and the trade issues going on right now. But then there's a further problem because we're dealing with electronics, computer electronics specifically. So there's materials that you rely on in order to make these, one of which, of course, is the chips. It was one of the big reasons for the price increases during the pandemic was there was a huge chip shortage. So going forward, the US would have to get access to those chips. Good news is silicon used for those chips is mined in the United States, but in a very small capacity. The majority of the world's silicon for chips actually comes from China. Not only does it come from China, but for the entire world's production in tons at the time, the world produces 85,000 tons of silicon, I think it's per year, annual, production per year, and of that 85,000, 6,000 of that is in China. So those goods would probably have to be imported, and we're back to the tariffs again. So at the end of the day, where does that leave us? I think it's pretty clear from everything I'm looking at that we can expect to see a rise in the price of home arcade products. I think it's pretty safe to say that you can expect to spend a little bit more if you want to continue buying these products in the upcoming years, and that's really sad because this community is thirsty for a new game. But the only problem with it is we get excited to see a new game, but that excitement completely goes away when we see a high price point with it. Example, of course, right here with Time Crisis, where the wind was taken out of the sails when the price of $750 was announced. So anyways, guys, just something I wanted to touch on today. Again, you know, I don't have any political agenda here. I'm not trying to say trade tariffs are good, bad, whatever. I'm completely indifferent to them. I hope, you know, at the end of the day, I always heard Made in America growing up. I would love to see more businesses make stuff in their own home countries again. I think that's a great idea. So, you know, buoy for that. My only concern, of course, is the fact that we all want these toys. And we don't want to spend a lot of money on them, and we're already a little gun-shy about some of the prices these companies have been charging in the last little while. So, seeing these tariffs being imposed in the future, I think it's important that we keep in mind there's a possibility, because of the tariffs, we're going to end up paying a little bit more for this product. Anyways, guys, let me know in the comments down below, what do you think? Do you think that this is a real possibility? We are going to have to pay a little bit more for home arcade products in 2025. Do you think that the companies will look at this and say, we can only charge so much before we lose demand, keep their prices regulated, and take it on the chin? Or will the extra expense be passed on to the consumer? Once again, thank you so very much for watching. This is Michael B. the Game Genie. I'll talk to you next time.